that's the carpet all done. I don't think it's really the last word in neatness, but it will do. I think once all the seats and the console and everything's all in, you're not really going to pay too much attention to it, to be honest. So just cut it around the fuse box, tucked up nicely behind the ECU there as well, and then just cut it around the battery and the cables and whatnot there. I have put the amp back in though, so nicely cut around there. Cut it around the boxes when the cage was first done actually. Don't really know what happened to that corner, it's a bit of a mess. That side's quite neat though. I think that little bit of black stuff is going to make a huge difference to how nice the car is to drive on the road. I'm really trying my hardest not to compromise too much on the mod cons, just to keep it more usable on the road. Like I was saying before, I just want to use this thing as much as possible and get as much enjoyment out of it as I can. Well, I've done a bit more over the last couple of days, and for some reason I didn't get the camera out, and I don't really know why. Just a bit of a knobhead, I guess. But let's have a good look at what I've done. As you can see, I stuck a bit of vinyl on the battery surround that I made before, so that looks a bit nicer over there. Got a few more bits on the interior, got the old sill kit trim thingies in, and a dashboard. Ooh. Wasn't originally going to put that back in, I was going to get it flocked, but I've decided that's one of the things that's going to have to wait until I've got a bit more budget. So it's easy peasy to get out, to be fair, so I'll whip it back out maybe in the winter and get it flocked along with the centre console and some other bits and pieces. But yeah, all the heater boxes went back in behind there, all coming together quite nicely, to be honest with you. And then yesterday I did a little bit of painting, painted the brackets for the roof and a few other bits and pieces. So I fitted all of those. Just got to clean up these bits and get some double-sided tape, which is just go across the side of the roof, which means I'll probably have to take my brackets back off, but oh well. And just painted a couple of brackets in the engine bay as well, alongside everything else. I did have 4 of those blue boxes full of stuff a couple of weeks ago, and that is the last one. So I am actually getting somewhere. And you can see I've taken off the rear bulkhead panel that I've made. I've just rounded off the corners a little bit, stuck a bit of Bond down the seams, hopefully strengthen it up a bit, and behind the brackets as well. Gonna throw some vinyl at it in a minute and then rivet the brackets back in, so it should match the door cards quite nicely. Threw a bit of vinyl at the rear bulkhead. I'm afraid it is an absolutely hideous job, but with any luck you won't be able to see the imperfections once it's hidden by the seats in the car and everything. Finished painting the other bits and pieces yesterday, including this PAS cooler, which was disgustingly corroded. It's not come up too badly, to be fair. I've actually used stone chip for the paintwork and got over it with a bit of lacquer just to tidy it up. Really thick, so with any luck it'll offer some decent protection and stop it going mad rusty again. Bulkhead's all fitted again. Looks way better than it did before. Actually ties in with the door cards really nicely, and once the seats and the rest of the carpet and bits and pieces back in, you're not going to see how disgusting a job it is. It actually looks pretty reasonable. Holy moly, this wiring lark is never ending. So I kind of previously overlooked that I'd moved the alarm control box, which used to sit over there somewhere. So I've had to mess around shortening and extending the sensor cables, which are going to sit up in here. I just need to make a little bracket because I think the bracket that they did have I've thrown away. This loom that I made for the stereo is a little bit too long because I've moved where the amp was from where I previously planned, but it's not too bad, so I've just kind of called it out there, which I'd rather not do, but it saves having to extend or rather shorten a load of more wires. But this one, and I don't really understand this because I've not really messed around with the length of this part of the loom, so I don't really know why this is miles too long. So this is just for the heater control unit here, so this really ought to be going just tucking up behind the center console there. So whip this heater unit out again and shorten a whole bunch of bloody wires. Great fun. new shortened loom, which took approximately forever. Chopped all of this rubbish out, 30 centimetres I think off of each wire, so that should fit much nicer now. I could have just got rid of the plug altogether, but I decided against that purely for the reason that doing it this way I could do it all on the bench, which is infinitely easier than trying to do it folded up in the car. So let's stick it back in. I have to apologise, I look a little bit like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer today, because I've sat outside all day in the sun yesterday watching cricket, got a bit of mad sunburn. You'll have to excuse me, feel free to poke fun. I reckon we'll start by having a quick look around the interior, because we didn't really get any nice shots of that last time, and I've popped a few bits and pieces back in now. So let's have a gange. Yep, looking very much like a car. So dials back in, centre console all back in, obviously shortened that loom for the heater controls, so they're all back in as well. Hopefully a little bit of a better look at my vinyl battery tray, or battery holder, whatever you want to call it. Gonna make a little bit more carpet to go just up here, tuck underneath here. If anyone's got any ideas, I can get some kind of carpet that matches that. That would be superb, because I really need to order some. Don't need a stack, to be fair, just enough to go across that back bit there. Also got a little bit more in the engine bay. Modified the bracket for the MAF sensor, which I just need to throw a little bit of paint at actually, and got a couple of coolant hoses in with the adjuster for the heating, and mounted the fuel filter in there as well. Got the PAS lines back in, got this S2000 blocks clutch master cylinder with the adapter there, so it fits the standard pedal, and then a Howell braided line that will run to the slave cylinder. And I've actually managed to get pretty much everything that needs to go back on the car, obviously other than the engine and a few arch trims and bits and pieces, actually in the boot. That's how little I've got left to pop back on. Whilst we're here, maybe we can have a quick look. There we go, just at the brackets that I've made, obviously painted. Just threw some paint at these the other night, so the engine is very, very close to being able to go in. Rest of the engine mounts, all hard race jobs in here, all nice and fresh. Finally got the sail panels refitted as well, thanks to some very expensive clips from the local Honda dealer. Teamed it with a new lower window moulding as well, which I got from a breaker, as my one was extremely worse for wear. But the main reason I decided to get the camera out was to film this big lump of loveliness, which is the Hybrid Racing B-Series shifter. I reckon I was one of the first in the country to get this. I think I got it about Christmas time. But it has just been sat on a shelf upstairs in front of the telly, basically looking damn sexy. But I thought it was about time that it actually made the trip down the stairs and onto the car. So I had to whip out the standard shifter, which didn't take too long, drill out one hole, because this mounts with 3 bolts opposed to the standard 2, just a little bit stronger. I did have to clearance the lower link a little bit, just because it was catching on this big teardrop shaped fella here, but it didn't take too much bodgery, to be fair. Also stuck the energy suspension bush in the end and on t'other end as well. The bushes actually came off, weren't too bad, but certainly worthwhile upgrading whilst it's all off the car. So let's look in a bit more detail at this thing. Apart from looking 100% awesome, it is actually a really, really well designed bit of kit. It's the only B-Series shifter that I know of that you can actually adjust the throw from inside the car. Usually you've got clamber underneath and adjust it on the bottom here, but on this thing you just need to loosen off these 2 bolts and the whole thing, there we go, slides up and down like that, adjusting the throw. Really, really nice. We've also got a spherical bearing in place of the standard greasy rubber one, which you can hear there is not particularly nice, whereas this is all super smooth, really, really tight. and then you've got your height and swivel adjustment on this top section here, with a massive range of movement actually, so you can make it really tall. But yeah, really nice bit of kit. So I think it's high time it went on the car. Beautiful. I'm undecided if I'm going to keep this gaiter or not. I could do quite like it with the gaiter just poking out the top there, but it does hide a lot of the loveliness underneath. But it's a minor detail. We shall see. And I reckon that's going to be a wrap. Time to upload this to the tube. And with any luck, next episode there's going to be something going in here. I look forward to it.